Join us as we uncover the complicated history and mystique of the mysterious Viking helmet in this captivating Top 10 countdown. Number 10, Viking helmets were not actually horned. Contrary to popular belief, Vikings did not wear horned helmets. The image of Vikings with horned helmets emerged in the 19th century, inspired by Norse mythology and the Viking Age. It gained widespread popularity in 1876 with the premiere of Wagner's opera Der Ring der Nibelungen and was further popularized by Scandinavian artists. However, there is no historical evidence to suggest that Vikings wore helmet horns. The only written accounts of Vikings wearing horned helmets come from Norse myths and legends. It is possible that Vikings may have worn horned helmets for ceremonial purposes, but they had no practical use in battle or everyday life. Number 9, Viking helmets were often made of leather, wood, and iron. During the Viking Age, iron was an important material for the Viking warrior culture, who used it to make strong, protective helmets. To obtain iron, they relied on bog ore, which was found in bogs and marshes, and extracted using various techniques. Despite the impurities in bog ore that made the iron more brittle, the Vikings used it extensively due to its low cost and availability. In addition to iron, the Vikings also used leather in their helmet designs, which added protection, durability, and comfort. Leather was strong and flexible, making it ideal for creating helmet designs that offered more coverage and protection for the head and neck. The use of iron and leather allowed the Vikings to create helmets that were both strong and comfortable, making them better equipped for battle. Number 8, Viking helmets were not designed to protect the wearer from weapons but were primarily used for ceremonial purposes. Viking helmets were mostly used for decorative and ceremonial purposes rather than practical protection in battle. Made of iron or steel and were decorated with intricate patterns and animal motifs, they were not as thick or heavily fortified as helmet designs used by other cultures at the time and often featured large, open spaces leaving the head and neck vulnerable to attack. They were used to distinguish between different clans and symbolize rank and status within the community, and to intimidate enemies on the battlefield with their fierce designs and animal motifs. Viking warriors often preferred to wear leather caps or iron headbands for protection in battle as they offered more coverage and protection for the head and neck. Number 7, Viking helmets were decorated with symbols to represent their rank and status in society. In Viking culture, helmet designs were more than just a means of protecting the head in battle. They were also used to symbolize the wearer's rank and status within society. Higher-ranking warriors and leaders might have helmets with intricate patterns and elaborate animal motifs, while lower-ranking warriors and commoners might have simpler, more practical designs. These symbols and patterns, which could include decorative elements such as feathers, fur, and jewels, were meant to show the wearer's wealth and status, and were often used in ceremonies and other important events. Overall, Viking helmet designs were an important aspect of Viking culture, used to distinguish between different clans and symbolize social standing within the community. Number 6, Viking helmets were sometimes used to hold the heads of slain enemies during ceremonial funerals. Vikings were known for their fierce battles and impressive combat skills, but they also had a strong sense of honor and respect for their enemies, even after they had been defeated in battle. When a Viking warrior was killed, his fellow Vikings would often bury him with his weapons and other possessions, as they believed that these items would help the deceased warrior in the afterlife. In addition, Vikings would often hold a funeral feast in honor of the fallen warrior, at which they would tell stories and sing songs about the deceased's bravery and strength. It's worth noting that this practice was not common in all Viking communities, and it is not clear how widespread it was. These feasts were a way to pay tribute to the fallen warrior and to send him off to the afterlife with honor. Number 5, Viking helmets were often made to resemble the head of a wolf or bear. Vikings commonly decorated their helmet designs with the head of a wolf or bear, and there are several theories as to why this may have been the case. One theory is that they held a special place in Norse mythology and were used as a way to honor the animal. Another theory is that the wolf and bear was seen as a symbol of strength and ferocity in Viking culture and was incorporated into helmet designs as a way to show strength and bravery. It is also possible that the Vikings simply found the animals to be a visually appealing animal and chose to use it for decorative purposes. Overall, the use of wolf or bear motifs on Viking helmet designs may have been influenced by Norse mythology, cultural beliefs, and personal aesthetics. Number 4, Viking helmets were not used as battle helmets until the 12th century. It wasn't until the 12th century that Viking helmet designs began to evolve and become more practical for use in battle. During this time, Viking helmet designs became more heavily fortified and began to offer more protection for the head and neck. According to the book, The Vikings, A History, by Robert Ferguson, earlier Viking helmet designs were typically made of iron or steel and were decorative and ornate, featuring intricate patterns and animal motifs. Around the 12th century, these helmet designs were still decorative and ornate, but they were also more functional and practical for use in combat. Number 3. Viking helmet designs may have included ventilation holes to improve the wearer's comfort and reduce the risk of heatstroke. There is some evidence to suggest that the Vikings, known for their fierce raids and battles, may have been concerned with the comfort of their helmet designs due to the risk of heatstroke. The metal material of many Viking helmet designs, such as iron or steel, could conduct heat and cause the head to overheat in hot and humid conditions. To prevent heatstroke, the Vikings may have used lighter materials such as bronze or copper in their helmet designs or incorporated ventilation holes to increase airflow. It is also possible that they removed their helmets during extreme heat. Some Viking helmets were made of materials other than metal, such as leather or brass, for different purposes. Number 2. Viking helmets' crests were used to distinguish between different Viking clans. Viking helmet crests were decorative elements added to helmet designs to distinguish between different Viking clans. Each clan had its own unique crest design, which was used to identify them on the battlefield. This helped to identify allies and enemies, and ensured that Vikings fought alongside their fellow clansmen. These crests were often intricate and ornate, and were used to show the wealth and status of the clan itself, as well as the individuals. In addition to being used for identification and display, the crests were also used to intimidate enemies on the battlefield by striking fear into their hearts with fierce designs and animal motifs. Overall, the helmet crests played a significant role in Viking warrior culture. Number 1. Viking helmets designs varied widely depending on the region and time period. Viking helmet designs were known for their elaborate and ornate nature, but they were not initially used much in actual battle. In the late 8th and early 9th centuries, Viking helmet designs were relatively simple and consisted mainly of iron or steel caps or headbands. These designs offered minimal protection and were primarily used for decorative and ceremonial purposes. By the mid-9th century, Viking helmet designs became more elaborate and decorative, featuring details such as horns, wings, and animal motifs, all made of iron or steel. These designs were eye-catching, but still offered minimal protection in battle. It wasn't until the late 9th and early 10th centuries that Viking helmet designs became more practical, with the addition of cheek guards and neck guards for added protection. However, these designs were still primarily used for decorative and ceremonial purposes. In conclusion, the Viking helmet was a multifaceted aspect of Viking culture, with its history and use being much more complex than the popular image of horned helmets suggests. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe, or leave a comment with what you would want to see.